Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So yesterday was a sort of wild day where they caused me to have a lot of cognitive impairment, and they fueled me pretty heavily. So I'm going to try to make this short. I'm way behind on explaining what's going on in these videos, and quite often there's stuff that goes down that I mean to talk about that I don't get around to. So let me just go over 5 points real quickly here. Point number 1, there's a liquor store called Liquor Craft in the area, and there's an alcohol called Maker's Mark, and I found that to be, suspicious, right? They had the poster in a way that really stood out. Point number 2, in the video about socialist versus capitalist that I've come across, there was a conservative feminist sort of witch type female who brought up that she believed that people should kind of put things in the hands of, the evil corporate world, and she brought up fraternal aid societies. It should be on the screen here. Point number 3, and she brought them up as, societies that aid the poor. So she thinks that the money should trickle down through fraternal societies, which overkills what I've been saying for years. And my economic arguments about how trickle-down economics doesn't work has to do with the culture, and fraternities and social clubs really embody the kind of general corporate culture, and where it overlaps with the middle class. It really, really does. Okay, and her name was Karen, right? Strangely enough, right? And the people have been talking about Karens and as these kind of white females who are racist and are, really don't like black people and are quick to, lash out, and so on and so forth. Also, her name starts with the word car. And there's that car dilemma going on right now with me and my family that I spoke on, that they tried to really stress me out on. I'm not somebody who's materialistic, but they try to make it so I sound like I am. Okay, so in the video, they also brought up the Milton Friedman argument about how capitalism is not driven by purchases so much. It's driven by trying to drive up the shareholders' value, right? I'm making it hard for me to talk, so let me kind of wrap this up here. So there's implications there, right? So the shareholders kind of dominating the culture and marketing things to people. Think about iPhones, they weren't always there. They kind of create the culture, they plan it, decide when to release their product, and so on and so forth. And they work with other corporations and they look out for each other. That's what drives capitalism, not people wanting to buy things in this kind of relatively benevolent system or something. No, it's a very evil system. Now, I'm not a communist, mind you, or a socialist in terms of a drastic, they're filming me here. I'm for moral democracy. I'm going to go ahead and leave that in the video so you see that they're filming me. Okay, so the next point, I came across a video. They recommend videos for me. That's part of how it's obvious that there's a pattern here, because these are recommended videos. The person's name was Bishop Whitefield, right? Whitfield is play on words for Whitefield, and it goes back to Cain and Abel, and who was killed in the field, and who's pulling strings behind the scenes like the devils, and causing indigenous people and poor whites and whoever else to kill each other. Point number 5, the Highlandville man who did the shooting, who killed the 2 police officers, and their names, there's wordplay there as well. There was a manhunt for him. Nimrod said to be a mighty hunter, mighty warrior. Also Richard, right? King Richard, and the manhunt, and them arguing about who they want people to look up to, and so on and so forth. The Highland, right? The Ebo Landing, the Highland Park shooting, the Highlandville suspect. So I guess it was in the Ozarks, what have you, and his name was Bird, right? Going back to the Royal African Falcon Martial Order. See, these connections aren't random. Now, I'm not doing a really good job of explaining here, and I'm falling way behind. I'm covering like 6 different things, or 5 different things at once here. Okay, and there's other stuff I've fallen behind on discussing. So these things are maybe 3 days old. Some of these things 4 days old, or more, because I'm falling behind here, because I have so much to do, and they're filming me and making it harder for me to explain things, so on and so forth.